Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the new Tacoma. I've seen a lot of videos posted, I've seen a lot of forum posts and comments on YouTube talking about the new Tacoma and how the new Tacoma is not selling and this and that. And so I figured that I would make a video talking about the new Tacoma, talking about the reality of the new Tacoma situation. Before we get into this video though, as always, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. Let's get right into it. So I want to start things off by giving a brief overview of this new Tacoma. We're going to start with the engine because that is a huge change with the new Tacoma. The new Tacoma is now powered by a turbo 2.4 liter 4-cylinder that goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. It also has a hybrid version. So the standard version, which this particular truck has, puts out 278 horsepower, so that matches the previous gen Tacoma in terms of horsepower, but it's got quite a bit more torque, 317 pound-feet. And so this has the same amount of horsepower in the standard form as the previous gen Tacoma, way more torque. The new hybrid powertrain has 326 horsepower and then 465 pound-feet of torque, so more horsepower and way more torque, a better fuel economy with that hybrid powertrain as well. But yeah, this is a huge change, right? Turbocharged now, and you even have a hybrid with the new Tacoma. And then as for the rest of the truck, just like the new Tundra, they have updated this massively. Like, yeah, it looks quite a bit different. I mean, there's the previous gen, for example, over there. It looks quite a bit different compared to the previous gen, but it is quite a bit different. Completely different platform, for example. You've got much bigger wheels, right? The previous gen would have like 16-inch wheels on a lot of the packages. This one now has 18-inch wheels on a lot of the packages. And then if we take a look at the key fob here, I mean, not too different compared to the last ones. You can get an automatic drop-down tailgate with the Tacoma now, and then automatic raise as well. This particular one just doesn't have it. So that's like a fancy luxury feature, I guess, is what I would say with it. And then if we pop inside, this is where things get real crazy from a Toyota perspective. So it looks all normal until you pop there in the center, and you can see you've got this huge digital gauge cluster. Look at this thing. Super, super techy. And then this one has the smaller screen, but you can also get like a giant tablet on the dash with the higher end packages. But we also have like other tech. You can see regular backup camera. This does come with a 360 as an option. I should have maybe picked a higher end package rather than the space model TRD off-road. But you guys get the point. It's got a lot of tech added to it. And I mean, this definitely comes at a cost. I mean, this TRD off-road, which is not a premium or anything like that, it's kind of just like a somewhat loaded up TRD off-road, $50,000 for the MSRP. The new, TRD off-road premium, you're looking at mid $50,000 for those if you get the soft tech seats and everything. If you get the TRD Pro, right, they used to be, low 50s. That's now almost $70,000 for the MSRP. So the new Tacoma has also increased in price quite a bit compared to the previous gen. And now this leads us into the bread and butter of today's video, and that is going to be the issues that people have been talking about with the new Tacoma. I'm going to put issues in quotations with some of them. So I could not come to a conclusion when it came to the powertrain with the new Tacoma. Reading through comments, reading through forums, it was all over the place. There were some people that were claiming that it had major issues, but then, later on in the post, you'd see that they said, oh, there wasn't actually a problem with the engine. It was just something else, and computer reprogramming this or that got figured out. And so far, it actually seems like this engine is pretty dang solid. Again, time will tell. This truck just came out, so we have to have people put more miles on the truck. But what I have personally heard from owners, because I know several people that own these new trucks, they really like this new engine. They get good fuel economy. It's got great power, like it can actually move big tires. I know some people that have put 35s now on these new Tacomas, which is just crazy. But yeah, it can move them. It can actually move them. And, it doesn't get necessarily the best fuel economy on the planet once you put 35s on it, but it ain't as bad as what you would think. And so all I'll say in this video is to be determined on the powertrain, but so far it seems like it's doing, better than the Tundra engine did upon release. And so let's start up the truck to talk about what I consider a real issue, or more of an issue, with this new Tacoma. That could be something that Toyota might come out with some sort of, like, I don't know, recall or something, like the Tundra with the bearing issue, where they've come out with a recall on that. And that has to do with this gauge cluster, not the unit itself, but what's being shown on the unit. So seemingly out of nowhere, with the new Tacoma, people will have the truck just kind of like light up like a Christmas tree in the gauge cluster. And it's usually something associated with like the braking system. It's all electronic with this truck. And if you don't know, we have an electronic parking brake. And I actually experienced this issue with the demo Tacoma I had. It was a pre-production truck, but yeah, the dash just out of nowhere lit up. And essentially what happened is the truck then started to feel like it was an electric vehicle. And here's what I mean. So electric vehicles, they have a regen system where when you let off the accelerator pedal, it just starts to basically do the regenerative braking. So the car starts to slow down. And some of them are really aggressive. Now, what I experienced in that pre-production Tacoma was not super aggressive, but the truck was like slowing down more than normal. And I had this warning on the dash that there was like some sort of malfunction with the braking system. Now, what I did ultimately is just kept driving the truck around, turned it off, turned it back on, and eventually it just didn't do it anymore. It was like a weird computer gremlin. Now, I didn't talk about that because, again, that was a pre-production truck, and I don't think that it's fair to an automaker to judge them based on a pre-production car. That would be the equivalent of you guys judging me on one of my videos that hasn't been edited. Like if all the raw clips just got put together, there was no editing whatsoever, and then you watch that and then you go, oh, this is what I mean, you could get like an idea of what my video was, but it wouldn't be like the final finished product. And that's kind of what a pre-production car is. It's an unedited video, right? It's an unedited car, you could say. And so I didn't want to cast final judgment. But after reading through the forums, some other people have had that same kind of like weird braking malfunction. And for some people, they have to take it to the dealership to get some sort of fix. It's unclear as to what the issue is right now, if it's software, and that's kind of what it seems like. It seems like it's just a software issue. And I mean, that's at least what I experienced. Is it didn't seem like there was an actual issue with the brakes of the truck. I checked the brakes and everything. All the mechanical stuff was perfectly fine. It was more so about the computer having some sort of weird communication malfunction. So when it comes to the reliability side of things, like I said, it's too soon to tell, but judging by what's happened with Toyota in the past, it seems like the first couple model years of any new vehicle that's released will have some sort of thing happen. Toyota releases recalls, they do warranty claims, all of that kind of stuff. Again, look at the new Tundra, for example. You've had the bearing situation, you had the turbo situation really early on. Toyota fixed the turbo situation. They're currently dealing with the bearing situation. And if you look at the previous gen Tundra before that, they had issues back in 07, 08 that they then fixed, and then that Tundra ended up being a super reliable vehicle by the end of the model year. Like, everyone loved it. So like I said in the Tundra video, I think that it's something that Toyota has to work out, and there'll probably be stuff with this new Tacoma as well. Again, these new Toyotas that are coming out are the most technologically advanced Toyotas that they have ever made. We've got a turbo hybrid powertrain under the hood for some of these Tacomas. This one just has a turbo powertrain. We've got I mean, this one doesn't have as much as in the other Tacomas. It still has a big digital gauge cluster, and you know, you can get that with a huge infotainment system. There's just, and then you've got like the adaptive cruise control, the steering assist. Like, there's so much more technology in this truck than what there has been in Toyotas in the past. And I understand that, you know, the previous gen Tacoma had adaptive cruise control, for example, but these systems keep getting more and more advanced. And so with more advanced systems, obviously there's a chance that, you know, stuff's going to go sideways, but I think that it's something that Toyota's going to do what they've always done, and they're going to work through those problems. And so now we have to answer the question of today's video. Is Toyota actually struggling to sell these new Tacomas? And the reality of the situation is it's mixed. So some packages in the new Tacoma are selling amazingly well. This truck that I'm in right now, the Tier D Off-Road, is selling amazingly well. Pretty much every single Tier D Off-Road that a dealership gets, they end up selling at a pretty quick rate. Like, this one just got here, and I'm sure it's going to be gone within a few days. The Tier D Pro hasn't hit the ground yet. When those hit the ground, they'll be gone, right? Every single one of them will be sold. That's just what happens with Toyotas and Tier D Pros. The Limiteds, this is one that's been interesting to me. I thought the Limiteds wouldn't sell because it's like a $55,000 truck. Those have actually pretty much sold out. So Limiteds have been selling. Tier D Sports, those are not selling as well. And then SR5s, those are also not selling as well. And I think with those two trucks, it just comes down to the pricing and what the Tacoma is. Most people buying the Tacoma want off-road capability. And so when you have the Tier D Sport at a similar price point to the Tier D Off-Road, if people have a choice between one of the two, they're going to go for the Tier D Off-Road. And then the SR5 is gotten so expensive, it's so close in price to a Tier D off-road. It's a similar situation. Do you want a base model Tier D off-road, or do you want an SR5 with a few more options? People are going to choose the Tier D off-road. And so it's less about the new Tacoma's not selling, it's more so of certain packages on the new Tacoma are not selling so well. But the packages that people want, Tier D off-road, the Limited, and the new Tier D Pro, again, we'll see what happens with the Tier D Pro, but I'm sure that'll sell out quickly. Those ones are still doing just fine. Now, I do think that this is a perfect example of how YouTube videos and forum posts can be a little bit misleading on a vehicle, because, again, you look at the forum posts, you look at the YouTube videos, and it makes it sound like the new Tacoma is the worst vehicle ever, that it's overpriced, and it's a piece of junk, and you shouldn't buy one, right? That's the conclusion you come to if you watch those videos. Whereas if you talk to people that actually own these new Tacomas, and you go in and drive one for yourself, you'll discover that the reality is a little bit different. With that being said, just like with the new Tundra, I do think that Toyota is going to have, a little bit of an uphill battle with this new Tacoma. Anytime Toyota makes a new vehicle, right, there's going to be things that they have to work out. Every single automaker deals with that. And Toyota has proven over the last several decades that they do it better than everyone else, because unlike other automakers, by the end of the production of a car, they've pretty much fixed everything. I mean, the example I gave in the Tundra video was Ford with the EcoBoost. They've had that engine out for over a decade, and they still have cam phaser issues. It's like they've had more than enough time to figure out a fix for that, and apparently they can't figure out a fix for that. So I think that just like the new Tundra, there's going to be stuff that have to be worked out with this new Tacoma. And so there's a lot of people that will just wait on the sidelines, right? They never buy a first-year Toyota. They always buy the, at least third or fourth year. And we're starting to see it with the Tundra, right? We now have 2024 Tundras. We're now in the third year, and more people are, kind of willing to dip their toes into the so-called Tundra waters, whatever analogy you want to give, because we're out of those first couple years where Toyota's, had some time to work out some of the kinks with that new truck. But the last thing I want to say, I guess, before fully closing this video is, I do think that there might be some price reworking with this new Tacoma, might be. I'm going to put that as like a very, very soft might be. And the reason I say that is, what Toyota could do, based on what I'm seeing in the market right now, is just crank out more Tier D off-roads, crank out more Tier D Pros, lower their production on the sports and the SR5s, and they'd be able to get the money they want for the trucks and sell more trucks. I think that's what it's going to come down to, is they're probably just going to have to rework the percentages of the packages rather than the pricing. But we'll see, right? Maybe there will be a huge pullback. I'm not seeing it so far on the packages that people like, the desirable packages on the Tacoma, but time will tell. Let me know what you guys think about the new Tacoma, and hopefully this brings some common sense to this new Tacoma situation.